What if everything we believed about Beyoncé and Jay-Z was a lie? The perfect marriage, the untouchable legacy, the royal empire of music shattered quietly but unmistakably within just 48 hours. Beyoncé didn't speak, she didn't need to. One subtle emotional gesture on stage during her Cowboy Carter tour, and the internet lost its mind. Fans knew exactly what it meant without her saying a word. It was personal, it was raw, and many believe it was her silent way of confirming that her daughter, Rumi, may be neurodivergent. But just as the world was still processing that emotional moment, a second, far more explosive twist hit. Jay-Z forced by the courts to take a paternity test. After years of silence, dodging, denying, he's now face to face with the truth about a young man named Rymir, a boy who spent over a decade fighting to be acknowledged as Jay-Z's son. Suddenly, the Carter brand, the gold-plated legacy, is spiraling, and the timing, too perfect to ignore. People are asking, was Beyoncé's reveal a heartfelt act of vulnerability or a calculated distraction? Because here's where it gets darker. There are rumors that Jay-Z's DNA, now under legal scrutiny, might link him to unsolved crimes buried deep in cold case files. If even one of those rumors holds weight, we're not just watching a scandal. We're watching the potential collapse of a dynasty. And this is just the opening act. It happened in seconds. So fast, so subtle, most people missed it. But Beyoncé's real fans, they caught it instantly. During her Cowboy Carter tour, Beyoncé brought Rumi on stage. No announcement, no flashing lights, just a tender, blink-and-you'll-miss-it moment between mother and daughter. But it didn't stay quiet for long. The second the footage hit social media, the internet zoomed in. Not on Beyoncé's words, but on Rumi's body language. The way she lit up, the hand flapping, the sensory movement, gentle, spontaneous, and unmistakably familiar to millions of neurodivergent families. To some, it was simply sweet. To others, it felt like confirmation. For years, whispers followed the Carter family, rumors that Rumi might be on the spectrum. But Beyoncé, she said nothing. The Carter camp, silent, shielded by NDAs, legal firewalls, and flawless PR. Until now, because this time there was no denial, no cleanup crew, no media pushback. Just one moment, left to speak for itself. And fans immediately started asking the question Beyoncé never once asked. Why now? Why show this moment to the world after years of protecting it? Because here's what we know. Beyoncé doesn't do random. Every move is choreographed, every lyric, every camera cut, every costume, controlled. So when she steps into the spotlight and allows the world to glimpse something this personal, there's always a reason. Was it authenticity? A powerful moment of truth from a mother? Or was it something else? Because while the world was mesmerized by that soft, emotional moment, something massive was unraveling behind the scenes. A legal order, a forced DNA test, and a secret Jay-Z has allegedly kept buried for over a decade. And it's that story, not Rumi's, that could bring down everything they've built. And it all started with one silent moment and a court-ordered truth. While fans were celebrating Beyoncé's touching moment with Rumi, behind the curtain, something very different was unfolding. Not joy, not pride, but pressure, panic, legal fire. Because at that exact moment, Jay-Z was being dragged towards something he's been dodging for over a decade, a DNA test. For years, a young man named Rymir Satterthwaite has made one claim, loud, clear, and consistent. Jay-Z is my father. He's shown documents, he's spoken out in interviews, he's asked for one thing, and one thing only, a DNA test. But Jay-Z, he never denied it. He just refused to take the test. Flat out. No results, no rebuttal, no resolution. And it wasn't just silence. Behind the scenes, Jay-Z's legal team allegedly pulled every trick in the book. Sealed court records, strategic delays, mysterious missed subpoenas, all designed, it seems, to keep one thing out of the courtroom, his DNA. But now, that strategy's collapsing. Multiple sources say the court's patience has run out, and Jay-Z has reportedly been ordered to provide a DNA sample once and for all. The clock is ticking, and for a man who spent 10 years avoiding one swab of truth, this changes everything. Because here's the real question. If Jay-Z truly isn't the father, why not just take the test and shut it all down? Why fight it for over a decade? Why risk his entire legacy? Unless there's something far bigger he's trying to hide. And that's where the whispers turn sharp. Because some believe this DNA test won't just confirm a son, it could connect Jay-Z to something deeper, something darker, something criminal. And if that's even remotely true, this isn't just a paternity case. It's a time bomb, and it's about to explode. At first, it looks simple. A celebrity refusing a paternity test, ego, image, maybe just some messy family drama. But the deeper you look, the more the story starts to shift. Because this might not be about a son. It might be about survival. A viral blind item is now making the rounds in Hollywood. Quiet, cryptic, but absolutely chilling. And it's pointing to one thing, Jay-Z's DNA. The claim, Jay-Z isn't just avoiding a paternity test to escape fatherhood. He's allegedly avoiding it to keep his DNA off official record forever. And here's why that matters. The moment his DNA enters the system, it could be cross-checked, compared prepared, linked to cold case evidence that's been sitting quietly in sealed files for years. We're not talking tabloid scandals anymore, we're talking open investigations, unsolved crimes, potential homicides. The blind item doesn't name names, but the message is loud and clear. If Jay-Z hands over that sample, it might not just confirm a child, it could connect him to death. Now let's be clear, nothing's been proven. No charges, no fingerprints, no smoking gun. But the whispers are growing, and if even a sliver of this turns out to be true, then everything we thought was about protecting an image was really about hiding a past. And suddenly, those 10 years of legal games, they don't look like arrogance anymore. They look like fear, calculated, desperate, survival mode fear. The narrative shifts from, does he have a secret son, to, what else has he been hiding? Because if that DNA gets tested, it won't just unlock one truth, it might rip the lid off everything. And here's where it gets even more dangerous. The deeper this goes, the more Beyonce's name starts popping up. And no amount of Grammys, NDAs, or billion-dollar branding can contain what's coming if this blows wide open. This isn't a PR issue, it's a full-blown reckoning, and the Carter legacy may not survive it. From the moment she entered the spotlight, Beyoncé was flawless. Every move, every silence, every camera angle, meticulously calculated, unshakable, unreachable, untouchable. But in the world of high-stakes celebrity, it's not the headlines that destroy you, it's the unpredictable variables. And right now, that variable has a name, Rymir. Insiders say Beyoncé has been clear for years, brutally clear. She never wanted to be anyone's stepmother, especially not to a child born from alleged infidelity. A child she didn't even know existed before saying, I do. Because here's the hard truth, Beyoncé isn't just an artist, she's an empire, a global icon, a symbol of strength, control, motherhood, and precision. But introduce a secret son into that legacy? That doesn't just add complexity, it tears the whole brand apart. And that may explain why some say she's done everything in her power to keep Rymir out of the picture. According to Rymir and his guardian Lily, the resistance hasn't just come from Jay-Z's lawyers. It's allegedly come from Beyoncé's inner circle. They claim they've received threats, not from trolls, not from random haters online, but from people tied directly to Beyoncé herself. In one chilling interview, Lily remembered someone telling her, Rymir needs to go away. Go away, little boy. Sounds harmless until you hear what she said happened next. Someone showed up on her property. At night, no knock, no call, just shadows. A warning? A scare tactic? She never got an answer. But she's never forgotten it either. None of this has been confirmed in court, but the allegations are stacking up. One source close to Rymir's team said it outright. Beyoncé was the voice in Jay-Z's ear, pushing him to delay the test, suppress the press, and bury this story deep enough that no one would ever find it. Because let's be honest, if those DNA results come back positive, this isn't just a scandal. It's image annihilation. The mother, the mogul, the matriarch of modern music, suddenly recast as the woman who either didn't know or worse, knew everything and helped cover it up. That's not just uncomfortable, it's unthinkable. And if true, it wouldn't just crack Beyoncé's legacy, it would obliterate it. Not long ago, Beyoncé and Jay-Z were fighting tooth and nail to silence the rumors. Autism? Off limits. Speculation? Met with legal threats. Kanye West so much as mentioned their twins, and the Carter legal machine came down like a hammer. Their strategy was clear. Silence, denial, absolute control. But then, the silence broke, and not with a press release, not with a statement, with a walk on stage. Beyoncé, hand in hand with Rumi. No words, no defense, just one quiet, powerful gesture. And the reaction? Fans didn't see a scandal. They saw a mother. They saw love. They saw vulnerability. The same rumors the Carters once buried were now re-emerging as inspiration. The narrative flipped overnight. Suddenly, the whispers weren't shameful, they were empowering. What was once conspiracy became courage. To some, it looked like growth. To others, it looked like genius-level damage control. Because this shift didn't happen in a vacuum. It happened exactly as Jay-Z's paternity battle hit a boiling point. Exactly as the courts reportedly demanded his DNA. Exactly as Rymir's name clawed its way back into headlines. The timing? Too perfect. Now fans are asking what they never dared to before. Was this Rumi moment really about bravery, or was it a carefully planned distraction? Because the Carters don't just exist in media, they dominate it. They know how to shift the spotlight, how to rewrite the headline. And stepping into the role of a neurodivergent child's parent, that doesn't just draw empathy, it rewrites the stakes. It reframes the Carters from potentially deceptive to deeply protective. Now, instead of secret son or DNA tests, the narrative is Beyoncé the warrior mom, the icon, the caretaker, the queen with unshakable grace. It's a masterclass in rebranding, so smooth you almost miss what's hiding beneath it. But it goes deeper. Insiders believe this vulnerability pivot wasn't just about optics. It was about buying time. Time to delay the test, time for lawyers to maneuver, time for Beyoncé to finish her Cowboy Carter tour before the real headlines hit. Because if that DNA test confirms what people have suspected all along, no amount of applause, no moment of maternal softness, no perfectly timed gesture will be enough to stop what's coming next. If there's one person who's never played by the rules, never cared about NDAs, lawsuits, or industry alliances, it's Kanye West. And when whispers about Rumi and Sir's alleged neurodivergence started bubbling up again, Kanye didn't just stir the pot. He flipped the entire table. In a now-deleted all-caps social media rant, Kanye came for Beyoncé and Jay-Z hard. No filters, no finesse, no fear. He asked why the public never sees their twins. He mocked artificial insemination. He hinted, bluntly, that the children weren't normal. And he flat out accused the Carters of hiding their kids out of shame. The post was raw, unhinged, and deeply personal. Even his own fans were stunned. And this time, the Carters actually responded. According to Page 6, Jay-Z and Beyoncé were shocked. They saw it as a direct attack, not just on them, but on their children. Their legal team moved fast. Threats were made, statements were drafted, cleanup crews were deployed, but it was already too late. The damage was done. Because suddenly the question wasn't, why would Kanye say that? It became, what truth, if any, is buried inside the chaos? Were Kanye's words disrespectful? Absolutely. But they reignited something the Carters had spent years trying to bury. For years, they fought tooth and nail to shut down autism rumors, lawyers, gag orders, media silence. And now, just weeks after threatening legal action, Beyoncé walks on stage holding Rumi's hand. No statements, no denials, just letting the world see. It felt emotional, empowering, but it also felt strategic. One minute, they're going nuclear on speculation. The next, they're leaning into it. Fans were confused, critics were vocal. Was this growth or was it a rebrand? And while all eyes were locked on Beyoncé, the brave mother facing the world, everyone seemed to forget the story that started it all. Jay-Z, the court order, the DNA test. The timing couldn't have been more suspicious, because once again, the conversation had been flipped from, what is Jay-Z hiding, to, look how strong Beyoncé is. And in the middle of it all, unfiltered, problematic, but painfully blunt, Kanye asked the question no one else would dare say out loud. Was he out of line? Yes. But was he wrong? That's what no one can stop wondering. While the Carters were orchestrating silence, spinning headlines, and controlling the spotlight, Rymir Satterthwaite was doing something radically different. He was just telling the truth. No PR team, no camera crews, no billion-dollar empire backing him up. Just one man working two jobs, standing up and asking the question no one else dared to. Am I Jay-Z's son? For over a decade, Rymir has made the same claim. Not for fame, not for money, not for revenge. He's never asked for a payout. Never sold his story, never chased clout on social media. In his own words, I take care of my family. I'm not asking for handouts. I just want to know the truth. But instead of answers, he's been met with silence, delay tactics, denials, and according to him and his guardian, Lily, intimidation. Lily has been by his side through it all. The lawsuits, the media attacks, the whispered threats behind closed doors. But some of those whispers got a little too close. Lily says she was contacted directly by people tied to Beyoncé's camp, not to negotiate, but to warn. The message, tell Rymir to go away. When that didn't work, it allegedly escalated. Lily claims someone showed up to her home at night. No invitation, no explanation. Just presence. A warning? A scare tactic? She won't say for sure, but she felt what it meant. And still, Rymir didn't stop. Because this was never about headlines or handouts. It was about something much deeper. Identity. Closure. Dignity. All the things a man deserves when he's asking one of life's most personal, painful questions. But when the man you believe is your father is one of the most powerful names in music history, the system doesn't play fair. Court documents vanish, headlines shift, entire narratives get rewritten overnight. But Rymir kept showing up. And now, the momentum is shifting. The truth, the one they've tried to bury for years, is finally clawing its way to the surface. Because this story isn't just about DNA anymore. It's about power. It's about justice. And it's about what happens when the underdog refuses to stay silent, no matter how loud the machine gets. And if Rymir's right, everything the Carters have worked to protect could come crashing down. This isn't just family drama. This isn't about messy headlines or personal mistakes. This is a billion-dollar empire on the brink. Because if Rymir Satterthwaite is proven to be Jay-Z's biological son, the fallout won't just stain a legacy. It could collapse it. Let's get real. Jay-Z and Beyoncé haven't just built careers. They've built a fortress. Every move is calculated. Every image, every silence, every surprise drop, controlled to perfection. They're not just pop culture icons. They're institutions. And institutions don't leave room for unplanned heirs. If Rymir is confirmed as Jay-Z's firstborn, he's no longer just a rumor. He becomes part of the Carter bloodline. That means press coverage, that means legal rights, that means entitlements. And most importantly, it means the first visible crack in a brand that was designed to look invincible. But this goes way beyond optics. We're talking generational wealth, music catalogs, copyrights, royalties, the Rock Nation empire, Ivy Park, streaming deals, film investments, licensing rights, one DNA test could legally entangle Rymir in all of it. And here's where things get even darker. Insiders have whispered for years that Jay-Z's reluctance to take the test isn't just about family shame, it might be about what the timeline reveals. Because if the rumors are true, if Rymir's mother was as young as some allege when she and Jay-Z first met, this doesn't just become a scandal, it becomes a potential crime. And that's the kind of truth no PR spin, no Instagram post, no Vogue cover can make disappear. For Beyoncé, that's more than betrayal. It's nuclear. This isn't just about what did she know, it's when did she know it? And how long has she been standing beside it in silence? Because if she's seen as complicit in keeping a deeper, darker truth buried, her entire legacy gets dragged with it. The feminism, the philanthropy, the image of unshakable strength, tainted. Which is why, according to sources close to the situation, she's allegedly been doing everything in her power to keep Rymir in the shadows. Because if the DNA test proves he's telling the truth, they won't just lose control of the narrative. They could lose everything it was built on. And when a billion-dollar brand is built on perfection, the truth becomes the single most dangerous thing in the world. Jay-Z hasn't said a word in court, no public statements, no interviews, but he's still talking. And as always, he's doing it through the one medium he controls completely, music. In the 2018 track, Heard About Us, a joint song with Beyoncé, Jay-Z dropped a line that made longtime fans stop cold. Penny Teen's prime for the 1000th time, the kid ain't mine. To most? Just clever wordplay? To those following Rymir's story? It sounded like a dagger. A casual, plenty cocky, lyrical shrug aimed at the one question he refuses to answer in court. No legal admission, no DNA test, just a line buried in a beat saying loud and clear, "You're not one of us. Stop asking." And that wasn't a one-off. Over the years, Jay-Z has dropped similar jabs in his music, lyrics laced with denial, verses that dismiss outsiders, mock the idea of secret children, and reinforce one central theme: the dynasty is sealed, no new blood allowed. It's the kind of narrative power only a mogul can wield. Because when you're on top of the world, lyrics don't just entertain, they rewrite reality. But while Jay-Z spits lines in the studio, his legal team has been fighting a very different battle behind closed doors. They've labeled Rymir's case baseless, called it harassment, dismissed the claims as obsessive, and rejected in multiple courts. And when Rymir's case finally started to gain traction, Jay-Z's team played the oldest trick in the book: delay. The lawsuit was filed May 6th, but Jay-Z's attorneys claim he wasn't properly served until June 3rd, nearly a month later. A technicality, sure, but just enough to buy time. More time. And here's where it gets suspiciously convenient. That new court deadline? It lines up perfectly with the final stretch of Beyoncé's Cowboy Carter tour. So the question practically asks itself, is this delay really about legal procedure or protecting the brand while Beyoncé's still on stage? Because when your denials come through bars instead of briefings, when your defense is hidden in lyrics instead of testimony, it doesn't feel like honesty. It feels like spin. And now that spin is starting to fray. Because the public is watching, the silence is getting louder. And the truth? It's circling closer every day. And the question now isn't just if Rymir is Jay-Z's son, it's what happens if the court confirms he is. So here we are. What started as whispers, a glance, a moment, a mother holding her daughter's hand on stage, has unraveled into something no one saw coming. A full-blown identity crisis at the core of America's most untouchable power couple. Beyoncé, hailed for her grace, her silence, her strength, now accused of turning vulnerability into a weapon, of using maternal softness as a shield to hide something much harder. Jay-Z, rap's first billionaire, the king of strategy, now backed into a legal corner, staring down the DNA test he spent 10+ years avoiding. And at the center of it all, not a tabloid, not a scandal chaser, just a man named Rymir, working 2 jobs, taking care of his family, asking for one thing, the truth. But this isn't about paternity anymore. It's about power. It's about manipulation. It's about how far the world's most powerful celebrities will go to protect their image, even if it means erasing someone else's existence. Because if that DNA test comes back positive, if the rumors about Rymir's mother's age are true, then we're not just watching a scandal. We're watching the implosion of a legacy. A billion-dollar empire built on perfection, shaken by one sample of truth. Beyoncé and Jay-Z have spent decades controlling the spotlight, but now, the spotlight is controlling them. And no matter how many distractions they drop, how many headlines they spin, how many legal moves they make, the truth doesn't go away. It gets louder, and now the whole world's listening. So what happens when the truth finally gets heard? What happens when the mask cracks, live in real time, for everyone to see? Keep watching, because the next move, it won't be made in a recording studio or on stage. It'll be made in court, and this time, the truth has the mic. If this shook you, if it made you question everything you thought you knew, hit that like button and subscribe right now. Because we're just getting started. More buried scandals, more silenced voices, more untold truths the industry hoped you'd never uncover. What you just watched, that was the crack. What's coming next? That's the collapse. Stay tuned, stay sharp, and remember, the truth doesn't whisper forever. Eventually, it roars.